Greetings, welcome back to PinkOddBird. Today I'm here to show you how I made my scrappy envelopes that I showed you in a previous video, just using up some scraps that I already had pre-existing. So let's go ahead and get started. So as you can see, I'm already kind of pulling out scraps, and what I'm really fishing for right now is scraps that are kind of neutral, like coffee stain kind of scraps. So I'm going to continue digging until I find a few more so that we can make an envelope. Okay, so this looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to, they don't really have to be the same size, same style, same color, none of that. But for some reason, a lot of my pieces seem to be that way, depending on whatever I was working on. So I'm going to obviously gravitate towards those. So I've got a pile of neutrals. So what I've done is I've just pulled out a few scraps. These will be like my printed or accent or color pieces. These are the neutral scraps, and then I just pulled out a couple of book page and music page scraps. So I'm going to lay my mat down and then we'll get started. So these here are the envelopes that we're going to be replicating, and you'll notice the pattern that I used is neutral, book and music, and then in some cases I also used the accent or the color pieces. I did stick to just plain copy paper or ledger paper, really lightweight papers, just because we are going to be doubling it up with a napkin. So the first thing I do is start piecing together the neutrals and the color pieces, and that's how we're going to go ahead and get started. So depending on the size of your scraps, you may want to leave them as is. So if we left this as it was, it would make kind of a big envelope if we line them up kind of long ways. So I'm just going to take a small strip of glue along the edge and start gluing my pieces together. Setting aside to let this one dry. Before I cut this down, I'm going to go ahead and let it dry. I'm gonna go ahead and put these away for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting down the pieces that we need to level out. This one is fine. Okay, and I believe we've got one more. Okay, so now we've got the base. So what we're going to do now is start adding a little bit more like adhesion to the envelope so that they kind of stick together while we're handling them to do the decoupaging. So for that, all I did was take some of my book page scraps, and wherever there's like a juncture, any place where we've glued together, just to further reinforce it, I'm going to take a random piece and glue it there. So it acts like a binder for the pieces that we need to keep together. So I'm just going to work through, and you can pick which side you want to be which. Like obviously, you know, one side is going to be covered up by napkin. So you can pick which side you want to have exposed. So this page, they're all linear. So same idea. Oh, I'm working with book pages, I forgot. I do this all like in increments, step by step. So we'll put a book page here. And because your creases and where you've attached your pages may differ, it helps you, that's what helps you actually get the really like unique and random look of how your book pages and stuff are placed on your page. Okay, so one more. And then to add, I'm going to actually put these away now because I don't need them. So to add like a little bit more interest, I'm just gonna reach for some of these papers that are over here, like maybe like my ledger paper. Some of this might be kind of fun on here. So we'll take a bit. And again, we're holding our pages together, but it's also adding some interest. And this is real vintage ledger. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the green. And I don't care if they overlap or anything like that. It's just more security. And this one is done. Okay, so now I've got this one done. So you can see it's acting like a band-aid to hold these papers together. So this one here is a little bit different because we've got coffee stained, we've got something color, like colors, and then book page. So adding more ledger paper I think would be a little bit excessive on that one. So I'm going to reach for this little random piece of music paper here, and then I will use that instead. Okay, so I think I have enough of my little junctures acting as band-aids now. Okay, so I'm gonna put these away, and here's what we've got so far. Okay, so the next thing to do is we're gonna take some napkins, and I only grabbed a couple. This one I had already started using, so I'm just gonna carry on with it. Hopefully I'll have enough to cover all of these. Okay, so I'm gonna start with one. I'm gonna use some Decoupage here, just a regular brush. And I like to coat on the bottom. Or I guess on the surface. Still has some paint on there, I think, because I was painting with black earlier. And then I'm going to take my napkin. And I have a little piece up here, so I'm just going to tear some from another area and add it down there. Like so. And put another coat on top. Okay. Then I'm just gonna easily, lightly, carefully start tearing this away. I feel like I am gonna need more napkins. Okay, so I'm gonna set this one aside. Okay, so this is gonna be the open side of the envelope. So this is gonna be the side that gets covered. So I'm just gonna take a piece of this, like so, and I'll use this up here. And I'm gonna prep this napkin because I'm gonna need it. And so just like that, I have finished using a napkin that I started using a really long time ago. So in a way, I'm also using my scrap napkins, I guess. Crafty Irina has a really great tip on these where you can use just Scotch tape to take these apart. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna take another, well, I guess let me first get this all down. So I'm gonna add my first layer. So decoupaging these napkins on acts kind of like a dual purpose, where we're using it to further reinforce these little bits and pieces that we've put together, but also as a decorative element. If you're trying to make them for a specific project, you can obviously pick napkins that will fit with your theme. Actually, I do have enough napkin. And on this one, I'm gonna go ahead and combine these. Now they need to dry. While those are off to the side air drying, I was also asked if I could show how I put these signatures together. If you recall, as I showed you in my scrapbook the other day, I showed you how I piecemealed a bunch of these. Well, I spoke about how I piecemealed all these together. So while the napkins are drying in the air, air drying, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I put these together. Ultimately, it's the same kind of an idea. I'm picking pieces of paper that I know that I want to save. So I'm going to just partition those out. I kind of used a good portion of like my most favorite ones in that book, but we may be able to at least get a couple of pages out of these. If not, I think I've got a couple more things in here that I can reach for, maybe this and this. I can't believe like I'm even saying like I'm running low on scraps. Like, is that a thing in real life? I don't even know. I don't even know. Obviously for this also, I'm picking more of the a little bit more sturdy pieces of scrapbook paper, where on the first round I was picking more of, you know, regular lightweight paper. Okay, they're still drying up a bit, so let's just move on into this. So it's kind of like the same premise as what we did with the envelopes. I'm just gonna start taking pieces and gluing them together. And then see if there's anything that kind of matches with what I've got down here. Like maybe this piece will. Yeah, that should be fine. So I've already got a little glue there, so I'm gonna put some here. And put my piece down. Okay. So there we go. And you'll see this whole side is blank, but that's okay because like I said, you'll probably want to leave it blank because as time goes on, you can add more of your favorites to it. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. And I'm going to let this dry fully before we start folding it and cutting it. If you don't, you run the risk of your pieces shifting and then you're going to have really wonky pages unless that's what you want. So I'm going to go back to our first one. Should be dry enough for us to cut down. If you want to get particular, you can use your scoreboard for this, but I'm just going to live life on the edge. Oh, I love it. And even though I don't really have like a lot of scraps that I would use right now. Oh, we just did this one. Yeah, we just did that one. I can still save these pages like this in my scrap box until I am ready to use them, you know, to put a whole book together as time goes on and more scraps collect. Okay, I was getting ready to throw this back in the scrap bin. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? I think that's one of the things that I've kind of learned over this whole process of saving scraps. I feel like there comes a point where it's like, is it worth it to hold on to anymore? So I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but I would like to know what you would do. Would you save this? Or is it time to finish him? Let me know in the comments down below. And I'm not going to do it right now, and I didn't do it in my first book, but you can stitch on these if you want to. So anywhere that you have like a meeting point, you can stitch. I didn't do that for my book, but you can for yours if you want. Okay, so here are the pages, the pages, how they look so far. So like this could even be a signature if you wanted it to be. And you do want to think about how much you're still going to add to yours, because potentially your signature can get bulky depending on how much room you leave for yourself. But yeah, so this is what we were able to do for you know, just a few more scraps in the scrap bin. So those are the pages. So let's go ahead and grab the envelopes and finish those up. Okay, so here they are. The next thing that I'm just going to do is take my scissors and clean up the edges. Okay, they're all cut down now, so the final thing that I'm going to do is take these over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch around some of these little elements here that I've added, and then do one final stitch around the entirety of the page, and then we're going to fold them up, and then they're all done. Okay, it's like dusk, so it's getting a little weird on the lighting, but we're about done here. The last thing that you'll have to just do if you want to is trim off the threads. Well, I guess it's not technically the last thing, but one of the next things that you may want to do. So the final thing is to get these bad boys folded up into envelopes, and it's very simple, just like so. And I have let the original ones sit under something heavy, so you can see they get really nice and flat, where like this one still has a little, you know, it could be flatter. And I'll finish trimming all these strings off later, but I just want to get this done before the sun runs away. So, and I'm doing these in different sizes. I don't really mind. I may use them for Happy Mail. I may use them in books. I don't really know. And like I said before, you can fold these fold them down so that, sew them down or glue them down if you want to, so that they become actual envelopes. You can always gesso over this and make it like a shabby white color and write on that, or you can just leave it as is and write in these little pieces and just put it, close it up, tuck it into your book. Oh, this one's really neat because, oh my gosh, I just realized, I don't know how I get lucky with these kinds of things. Sometimes with these are apples. I don't know if you can see, they're apples. And then when you open it, right where it folds, it says Garden of Eden. Well, Eden, because I kind of tore it, but anyway, so there we go. And I don't know how long this video is going to end up being after I get it all edited down, but if you have stuck with me this long, I appreciate you for hanging out with me today and having a little bit of crafty, scrappy time. And if you would like to give these envelopes or these scrappy pages a try, I would love to see what you make. So don't forget to tag me by using the hashtag PinkOddBird so that I can see what you are up to. So I hope you all like these projects. I hope you give them a try, and I hope you have enjoyed watching. And that is gonna wrap it up for me for now. Be sure to stay tuned because you never know what direction this odd flock of ours is heading into. And until next time, toodaloo.